Greetings, beings. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Are We Yet Asleep? And you are on tonight on WTLC Blog Talk Radio. This is Miss J and Jesse and Kim, and we are so excited to be here this evening. Thank you so much for sticking around. We did experience a little bit of technical difficulties, but we are live and raring to go. We want to find out what is going on in the world around us. We want to open your eyes a little bit, have some interesting conversations. So we're going to jump right on in this evening and say hello.
Hey, hey. What's crack-a-lacking in the evening?
What's crack-a-lacking, Jesse?
Man, it's good to be alive.
I can't even follow that. I'm just going to say, what's up?
So as you know, we are here to talk about all the alternative news that you can even stand to handle. We're going to talk about what we've seen this week, some things that have happened, some things we've observed, and just kind of share amongst ourselves, and we're glad that you joined us for the conversation. If you want to call in to talk to us about something tonight, give us a call at 347-989-8851. We'd love to hear what you have to say. We're also on Facebook in our closed group, AWYA, Are We Yet Asleep, and also in our group for WTLC Blog Talk Radio, WTLC Talk Radio on Facebook. So join us for the conversation, chat with us. Let us know what you think. We really appreciate your listening so far. We've had great turnout from our first 3 weeks, and this will mark the end of our first month. So I think that we're going to keep going for another month. Are you guys in?
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Hey, it is what it is. We'll ride until it falls.
So this week, what have you seen? What's been going on? What is going on, as Marvin Gaye said? What's the what?
Man, in my end of things, which is everybody's end of things because we are all one, there's been tremendous energetic changes going on. You can look at it in the science of astrology, but we are going through some intense transformational experiences. And I bet you everybody's individual experience is a little bit different or way different, but nonetheless, the topic or the theme is transformation, that's for sure. I don't know how you guys been feeling, but I know that's been real intense in my life.
Transformation this week, or this month? I mean, is this a...
This week in particular, starting on, okay, we'll go right into the astrology. So starting on April 1st, we aligned up with a Grand Cross, which means that we are the focal point of a symmetrical energy where there's a planet on north, south, east, and west, just for reference points. And what happens when that occurs, which is quite a rare thing, it starts to bring up all our crap, basically, because the energy is intensified, and in our receptors, or just our energetic system, starts to push out the stuff that can't handle that much energy. And so basically all of our fears, all of our doubts, all of our worries, they come to the surface. And if you've actually done a lot of self-work, then it's actually quite an amazing time to be alive, because you're just enjoying the energetic ride, and it's really just a beautiful thing. So I don't know. I'd like to hear from other people in the world what they've experienced. If does it sound like I'm just talking crazy, or is it just I mean, because I'm gonna come with some left field stuff that some people may or may not be able to relate to, but it's real in my world. So we're gonna keep it real from that standpoint.
Well, I know, just a quick background for our listeners. We talk about everything. There's no subject too out there. So in talking about the planets and the alignments and the stars and the things that are happening, I know I come from a background that treats like astrology type of thing a bit skeptically, right? But as I grew older and started to look at things like signs and horoscopes and behaviors and influences, I realized, okay, if the moon can pull the waters of this earth in and out from the shore on a daily basis, then being that our bodies are, like 70% water, why would they not be also influenced in our cellular level by the moon or the planets or the gravity of the things that are affecting our ocean? If it could affect something that big, we can't hold a candle to the ocean. It would win. Ocean versus man, right. Ocean wins, right? So moon really pulls ocean, so it's kind of like rock, paper, scissors, if you will, in terms of influence. So it's not far out for me to think that there could be something happening in the universe, in the sky right now, that creates an energy, that does something catalytic for people. It's just not far-fetched to me. It may not be provable, as we like to talk about truth and all of that, but if you feel it, then certainly it becomes true for you. And I don't think there's anyone out there that has not experienced some form of what you would call, quote, unquote, people acting crazy during a full moon. I mean, they always say people out there howling at the moon, and there's all kinds of crime goes up on a full moon. Domestic violence goes up under a full moon. Violent attacks go up on a full moon. So I think there's something there.
Yeah, I would say so. What do you think, Kim?
Well, I mean, from my standpoint, yes, I will agree with that. I think that the seasons affect us, whether it's gray outside or whether it's beautiful. I mean, what do they call it? Seasonal affective disorder, of course, because they put a name on everything, so they can sell pills. But anyway, there's that stuff really, really is true. I mean, even with just like the moon cycles or the tides, et cetera, that whole adage about, like people's water breaking, women's water breaking during a full moon. It's actually true. I mean, I worked labor and delivery for a very long time. When the moon is full, A, the crazies come out, and B, everybody goes into labor because of how the moon affects things. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. You have to think if it can affect us on just that kind of simple level. Of course, when things are more agitated in the air, there's more energy, there's more solar flares, there's more this and that, then people's energy levels are going to be ramped up. But the question is, of course, whether it's going to be ramped up in a way that's productive or is it going to be ramped up in a way that's actually detrimental to themselves or to others. So just have to, it's just how you decide to take it, I guess, and how you try to process it and work it through. Huh?
I'm excited because you're talking about women giving birth, right? And I was taken immediately to Jesse's thought about the energy that's coming and birthing, ideas and transformation is, to me, very similar to what you're saying in literal birth of babies, I mean, if you have a project that you've been working on, a venture that all of a sudden this month has started blooming and manifesting, then certainly you're experiencing a birth, So that's interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, what the topic that we're talking about right now, this is my reality. This is my truth. It is not something that I have to logically understand. It's my experience. So I'm speaking directly from my own experience. I'm, like you said, Ms. J, we're going to speak about any and everything, and so I'm going to give you my raw. I'm going to give you my most out there, whatever you want to call it, out there, whatever. But it's truth for me, and I see it. I see it from my own vantage point. That when people have a lot of fears, a lot of closed up energies, you can look at it like a pipe. If there's a pipe that has some blockages and all of a sudden a huge rush of water runs through that pipe, it's going to have a lot of pressure on that pipe, and it's going to be quite difficult for that pipe to allow that water to flow through. So it's the same thing as us as energetic beings. You can look at us as conduits for this energy, and if our energy is blocked up and clamped down, by our own fears and everything, then that blockage has to come to the surface, or it's just going to be really, really painful for you to try to hold on to it. So that's my analogy. And, you know, like I said, if you're free of blockages, or you have minimal blockages within you, then, you know, the energetic ride is amazing. You know, the creativity is off the charts. You know, the transformation is just amazing. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and just share a little experience today. You know, like I said, I'm going to just preface this with, you can think whatever the hell you want about me, but I know my reality, what is real. So I step outside. We just opened the restaurant, my wife and I. And I step outside, and it was slow for a moment. Look up in the sky, and I see all these different hazy clouds and everything, and I don't think they're so natural. So I just decided to start doing some healing work on these clouds. And Ms. J, we've talked about this, you know, where you actually you start bringing that healing energy through you to whatever it is your intention is, which is a powerful thing. So as soon as I started doing this, I started seeing these little purple blotches show up, and it was showing up right where the clouds were, you know, in symmetrical formation. And so I decided to play with the color that I saw, and this purple little blotch that I saw, I started waving my hand around at it, and it started to spread, and it actually fanned out over the entire sky where all the clouds were, and they started to dissipate. They literally started to dissipate. So I'm saying that because we all have this capability within us. We're powerful beyond measure, and this is my excitement. This is my joy to bring this awareness to all of us. We all have this power to transmute any kind of negativity, any kind of harmful. We're light beings. So that being said, way out in the left field, coming out of way out left field, what do you guys think about that? I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, I would say, go ahead, Kim.
No, I was going to say, you know, I can agree with that. You know, I think the problem, like for me, the problem for that kind of thing would be, what if you don't know how to channel it? What if you want to try to channel the energy in some kind of way that's helps, but you just don't know how? Like, you know, for those of us who are just getting ultra sensitive right now, but it's just not really in any particular direction. Like, for instance, Joelle called me the other day, was like, man, you are, what'd you say, Jay? When I had got upset last week, and then all of a sudden the next day it was like horrible outside, and you were like, you know, you're my.
Well, you're a barometer. Yeah, you're a barometer. The bad weather was coming in, and you had a bad attitude. You know, like it was like the clouds were coming in, and the clouds came in on your personality. You know, and
you know, there's been some other issues that she's aware of that I'm not going to broadcast on air, but let's just say that a dream revealed something. And a week later, yoo-hoo, guess what? Here it is. You know, I didn't think anything of it until the situation presented, and it's like, oh, crap, that's what that was. You know, but you don't know how to, but for me, you know, knowing things that that I'm more sensitive, but not knowing how to focus it, not knowing how to direct it, just kind of feeling like you're just kind of, you know, at the mercy of wherever you're taken. For some people, that's just kind of, that can be a bit much in itself. You know what I mean? It's like having that pot that's like on that pressure cooker, and it's trying to let off that steam, but for whatever reason, it just, like the pipe you said, it just won't let it off the correct way. So it's like you're misfiring all the time. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. And I was going to say, I think that what you're saying, though, everyone, like just that we all are energetic beings. So whether we're conscious or think that we're not conscious, because we really are, even at a fundamental level, even if you're not like doing healing Reiki on clouds, right? We still know how we throw off energy around people, and we use it when we need to. You know, we know how to put off vibes. We know how to put off flirtatious vibes, right? We know how to put off disapproving vibes. We know how to, we move more of our energy than what we think of. And maybe it's just that it doesn't have the right label, but we're doing it all the time. We're comforting our loved ones and people who are distraught. We're exuding trustworthiness or honestness in our demeanor, so it's happening. Now, what you choose to do and how you learn then to, like, maybe do more, like people such as Jesse, who is a Reiki master. I certainly was curious about energy work and wanted to learn more, and so I was able to, attend one of his classes and learn more about a specific type of energy work, in the Reiki practice. But it's certainly not the only one. Everyone is using energy, from politicians convincing you to, it's just all around. In church, people feel the Holy Ghost sweep through the room, quote unquote. Well, we know that is an expression of non-visible energy, which is, I guess, a description for the Holy Ghost, if you will.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I'm like, hold me back.
So we talk about things like spirit and energy, but maybe we just refuse to see that what we're really doing is what we're doing. And maybe we're downplaying. Right. I know that we downplay our real power, that we're veiled, if you will. But for those who want to, like, really engage in becoming, like you said, the conduit, Jesse, and opening up your abilities and looking at life through the filter of realizing I'm putting out energy and I'm receiving energy. That's kind of like the first step. I'm putting it out and I'm receiving it. And as long as I understand that at a base level, that that's just what happens from being, so to speak, then I can step forward step by step then and start to deal with, okay, I'm feeling energy from this person. What's behind it? Do I receive it? Do I reject it? And I know that people get a little scared when, people are like, this man's talking about he saw purple in the clouds. That can definitely be a mind-blowing experience until you experience it or witness it for yourself. But strange wonders and signs and things are unfolding every day, miraculous things, quote unquote, if you will. So I guess at this point there's not much that surprises me when you talk about what people have the power to do, and I'm really happy to see more and meet more and more people who are saying, you know what, I'm really just feeling my gift and I'm healing. I know that, Jesse, with you and your wife, she's healing through food, she's taking her energy and just even the preparation of it and the thought that goes into the natural kind of diet that she's putting forth, that is her expression of energy. Maybe people just don't think of it like that. They think she's cooking. She cooks really good and she knows nutrition, but she's doing more than that, and by eating it, you're receiving more than that. Right.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I think you hit a key point, Ms. J, because, having just awareness, the first step of just being aware of your own energy, our internal guidance system is, you feel it. You feel it when you step in a room. You feel it at all moments, and really it's more about awareness of what it is that we're actually feeling. And once we become more and more, we'll just say, attentive to the way different environments feel, the way that you feel internally about different situations, we really start to gain so much strength, knowledge, wisdom, and power about self and in our own experience. And when that happens, we gain a lot of power to create a lot of change. And that's what we're in the vortex time of. We're going through a huge transition. If you don't know, now you know. We're going through a huge transition right now. And, the more you understand, know thyself, understand yourself, not just what your favorite color is and all that, which is actually relevant, but more so about your feeling nature, your essence. You really start to gain so much power because your imagination and exuding of energy it changes things. It transforms things. You can alter the energy of a room with your intention, and you can use that intention for positive or negative. So I would really love to hear from someone if they have some comments on this topic. And it looks like we have a caller, 6385. Are you on the line?
Yes, definitely I am. I just wanted to know, like, if y'all could, like, just give some advice on if you have the good energy and the bad energy, you know, like how to deal with that type.
Oh, great question. Great question, caller.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's your name, bro?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm actually from the crowd, please. And I was just sitting here, and I love the show. I mean, the show is absolutely great, wonderful, magnificent, and yeah, definitely. And I was just out and about, and I was just checking the show out, and because I always listen to it, and I'm checking it out, and it was just something that I need to know for myself, and I think a lot of fans and of you all would like to know too.
Right on, man. Well, I mean, my take on good and bad is, you know, that's it energy just it is what it is. Energy is energy, and we interpret it and label as good or bad, you know. And I think what kind of triggers us to label something as good or bad is if we feel expanded or we feel contracted. So if we're feeling contracted, then there's some kind of fear about the situation. There's some kind of fear about the energy that you're experiencing, whether it be from a person, from a thought. It could be something, you know, on a subconscious level. If you're feeling contracted about it, then there's something that needs some attention, needs some healing. So, you know, if you can kind of like steer away from good and bad and just let it be what it is, you know, if some kind of fear emerges, or if you feel, you know, anything like, you know, jealousy or anger or anything, you know, it's time to kind of take a step back and observe the energy that you're experiencing, the energy that you're feeling, because once you get into that observation mode, you separate yourself from the intensity of the drama that you're experiencing within that energy. Does that make sense so far?
Definitely. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that and put that the way you put it, because it gave me a better way to understand, you know, the way the way it goes. So it definitely, I definitely get what you're saying. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling in, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Here we go again.
Go ahead, Kim.
Well, I was going to say, so if somebody, let's say, for instance, this gentleman who just called in, let's say he feels he needs to clear his own energy. He just needs to kind of break things down and just clear out and then start, you know, from scratch. What are things that people could do? You know, I've heard of people doing like the salt water baths or, you know, whatever. But, you know, what can people do to clear their energy in their own homes and in their own spaces?
Joel, I'm going to let you take that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do. I was going to say that, you know, one thing that I've started doing is mindfulness, right? Whatever that looks like for you, if it's being in quiet space, being in nature, or just like being in your brain, right? Feeling and knowing what's happening around you, which then leads you to be sensitive more so to the energies and stuff, right? But mindfulness is just observing. Like you said, you're detaching from the emotional response to what you're feeling, you know, and you're standing then in your wholeness and saying, okay, I'm not going to be impacted by this, or if I am impacted of it, then I need to go ahead and remove myself from the environment or whatever. But being mindful, then, you know, I start out my waking days with kind of like a, I don't know if you want to call it the shield of infinity. I mean, I don't know what you call yours, but, right? I wake up and it's like I just put myself in the mindset that, you know, first of all, I am fully in control of the person and being known as Miss J or Joelle, if you will. So I'm not a victim, and I'm certainly not helpless or powerless against anything that I might encounter in this day, and I only receive inside anything that is positive. I just set my intention. So we're so powerful that even just the mental thought of saying, this is not going to enter me. It might be around me and in my space, but it's not going to get into me. I start out with that as a barrier, right? And so you leave your house and you go out from your safe place into the world, and you're kind of in this bubble of the infinity wall or whatever you want to call it, and you roll along through life, and the stuff will start to roll off you more, I think, once you get in the habit of just really setting your guard up, and not like fearful guard, but just being the master and commander, if you will, of yourself and all that you encounter. So, in your home, you can do things like burning sage smudge, which, of course, is coming from the Native American tradition, burning a smudge and clearing out all the negatives. And, of course, when you're smudging, you're going from room to room and calling in, God or your higher power and all that is positive and loving to remain in your home or be in your home, and all that is negative or detrimental to be without your home, to exit the premises. Also, saging yourself, you can sit in the smoke of this sage, walk through it, You could take a shower, and one thing is to use salt water. Salt water is so healing and cleansing. You look at tears, right, how healing and cleansing are those. So once a week, just pour some mild salt water over yourself from head to toe, and you will find, it's really interesting because I found instantly a physical difference just from doing that, So you can also, if you're a person who's into crystals and rocks of nature and of the earth, some of them have basic properties that are repellent to negativity. So you can certainly have jewelry or adornments that help subtly boost you to, I guess, add to your arsenal of things. But the most important thing is having the mindset. The mind is so powerful that it's more powerful than all those things. So repelling that is within your own power, I guess is what I would say.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we have another caller, and I would love to hear their perspective on this. And also, if there's anybody out there that wants to clear something within their life, I'm feeling kind of inspired to go ahead and dig into some murky areas. So if you wanted to jump in here and be brave and do a little mini healing, I'm all about it. What do you think, Ms. J and Kim?
Oh yeah, we can get any call about anything.
Okay, cool. Well, it looks like we have a caller, 3244. You're on the air.
Hi, this is Kiara.
Hey, Kiara, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I was just actually calling in to ask about the different stones, but one of the hostesses had already mentioned it. Because I like using rose quartz. I hear that clears energy. And I like what she said about the smudging, because I use that on my kids. Like I have a son who will tell me, "Ma, do your thing," and I will take the sage and go around town, and also go around the house as well. So yeah, I believe in that as far as clearing energy. So this is an excellent show. I just wanted to tell you that I really enjoy your show.
That's beautiful, Kiara. I appreciate it. And I love that you do that with your kids, because children have, they're already open. They don't have a whole bunch of clogged pipes, so to say. So when you do that, their response to that clearing is instantaneous. They feel it, So kudos to you, big ups, and I'm giving you a big old soul hug right now.
And I just want to add that they also carry a rock, so sometimes the cacti, from what I understand, is the protector. So after you cleanse, I think that's a good idea to hold. So I just wanted to throw that in there as well, and just say I really enjoy your show.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
that is perfect. it's so amazing when you start to talk about things that you might not have talked about, to say, well, I believe that this crystal makes me feel better. And it's just a rock, and you start to feel a little off. But then you start to talk to people and you find out, wait, that there's something to this, and there's other people who do this. And matter of fact, I learned from, like this caller, I just learned something different to do. And then you find there's a whole community that's larger than you realize, right? And then you start to talk to people, and you spread the energy on, like to the gentleman who called in. Now we've hopefully spread some energy to him so that he has a new tool in his arsenal. That's the beauty of it all, is that no one is isolated, no one is alone, nothing happens individually, we're here collectively learning and growing, so this is just great. What a great night. The conversation is going great. We are going to take a quick break here. You are on Are We Yet Asleep on WTLC Blog Talk Radio. If you are interested in calling in and talking to us tonight, please, please, please give us a call. We love to talk to you. We are going to be going on till 12:30. We were a little late starting this evening. We're going to keep going. Our number is 347-989-8851. Stick around, give us a call, and we'll talk to you in just a few moments. And we are back. You are listening to Are We Yet Asleep on Blog Talk Radio, and this is Miss J, and I'm here with Jesse and Kim, and tonight we are talking about, I guess it looks like we're talking about energy right now, which is great. So we've been talking about how to clear your energy, recognizing energy when it comes your way, and how to deal with it so that it doesn't necessarily impact you. And we are looking for you to give us a call. We've had some great callers already this evening. Our number is 347-989-8851. And so if you've got something that you want to have looked at, definitely give us a call. We're here to help, here to heal, certainly. And we as a community can always do things to improve and lift each other up. So when it comes to energy, I have to say I believe that we're kind of in a weird place right now, right? There's an unfolding that's happening where people are having conversations about energy in the first place. That's new, it's kind of happening differently. People are experiencing energy differently, such as, Justy, and your story with the clouds and the healing, and even noticing that the clouds look a little different says to me that your eyes are wide open, and we always like to talk about, are you aware of what's happening around you? So one of the things I believe, and I've heard this term before, is that we experienced onslaughts from weapons of mass distraction, WMD, not weapons of mass destruction, although some of it is destructive, but mass distraction, things that distract us from the prize, the eye on the prize, and what's really happening. And, Jesse, you were talking about, your energy, if you can, really open yourself up to a conduit, then you can really be powerful in it. And I think that a lot of us just don't have the opportunity because our mind, our logical mind, our attentive mind, the ego mind is focused on all the stuff that we're bombarded with on a constant basis, from TV and music and computers and phones and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. So all this stuff is happening all the time. It keeps us in a constant state of high energy. Our brain is in high energy, processing all of the things that it receives all the time. And know that our brain is experiencing things that we are not actually conscious in our current manifestation of. So your brain is working overtime then, and we're in the most stimulated time that we've ever been in. There's never been a time where you could actually look at a 2-inch TV and catch your TV shows, right? So part of, I believe, in clearing out yourself to be a conduit, because you're certainly a conduit, anytime you're sitting there talking about TV gossip and scandals and all that kind of stuff, well, you're being a conduit for energy, you're passing it around. But is it harmless? Is it harmful? No, not necessarily. It's not harmful to anyone. People enjoy participating in these things. that are cultural and coming at us, but they also can be cluttering. So, getting to that point of that mindfulness time that is not where your brain actually has an opportunity to sit still for a moment. And then when that stillness happens, you realize there's like something behind the brain or above the brain, if you will. The kind of higher self has an opportunity to really be and to come forth when you remove all of the clutter and distractions. So I don't know if you think my theory is off or, but that's kind of what I experience, the day-to-day. As soon as you wake up after my mindfulness time, it's check the phone, check the show, get to go, watch a show, DVR, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you can go a whole week, and then realize it's Sunday. Oh, my gosh. What happened to the week? Well, you didn't have any time during the week to really stop the energy. Just push, and it'll do that. And it makes you think that you have no control, you know what I mean? But we really are. We're choosing to ingest. We're choosing to participate. And sometimes I feel like we need to choose not to. Turn it off, step back. I know, Jesse, you've taken a couple hiatuses since I've known you on Facebook and stepped back, and certainly, after that time, now you've manifested your business venture with a wife. So, do you feel that had something to do with your ability to really have the energy needed to manifest your dream?
Well, most definitely. And when you said weapons of mass distraction, it's totally accurate because the powers that have the intention to control, and basically the way that you do that is to create separation. And by creating distractions from the truth is basically the way that the control is established. So, if you distracted somebody from the actual truth, which is we are all one, and so when you okay, I want to dig into this. This is a topic right here where when we recognize we're one, that's a powerful statement. And the more and more you feel that statement and understand and overstand that, the more and more powerful you are. The reason being is you're not an isolated being. You are connected to the entire universe. The universe ain't broke. God ain't broke. It's infinite. We are infinite beings. And we spoke about this last week a bit, and this is just the ultimate truth. So if there's we'll just say a television program, we'll say, and there's a reason it's called program, because it's isolating your mind to keep you separated from the true reality that we're all one. And so when you come into that connection and that knowing, it's not even necessarily an understanding. It's a knowing that everything that is you. And all you have to do as the center point of the universe, which you are, all you have to do is do a little pivot, and your whole reality changes. It shifts. So weapons of mass distraction, hell yeah, that's exactly what it is. So Kim, I know I didn't mean to cut you off, Ms. J, but I know Kim has something to say about that. As far as we're talking on an energetic level. And there were some things that you wanted to bring up. What were you about to say about that?
Well, actually, I might even expand into this a little bit too, because while we were talking, I was, listening to what you were saying, Jesse, and you too, Jay, and I thought to myself, man, this all sounds so familiar, but it really trips me out when you hear it from someone who's not saying it. The way that you say it, let me restate. The way that you say it, someone else might say, "Oh, that hippie," or that, tree hug and blah blah. There's some label for it, something negative, a negative connotation towards it because it doesn't fit into that classical norm of, God fearing Christian blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? But that same stuff that you're talking about is like, hello, you hear it, okay, your version of taking your energy and, using it to make your world, shape your your world around you, your words, your thoughts, your actions. That's the same thing as I claim this. I'm speaking it into existence. Your words, you speak into existence whatsoever you have, say you can have. It's that exact same thing but put on a different level, taking the control away from you, saying you as a person are able to do this and that you have to instead attribute it to something else, if that makes sense.
Externalizing your power, so to speak.
Exactly, which is a way of limiting it, because if you don't know just how powerful and how well you can shape your own world, then why would you even how could you even understand your existence and your connection to everything else around you? So, same thing with, you saying, Joelle, well, when I walk out, I'm going to say this is what my day is going to be. I'm going to put up my shield, put my energy, up where I'm just not going to let that negative stuff affect me. Well, that's the same thing as saying I'm claiming the blood or I'm stationed, please station your angels around. It's the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. It's just you're focusing it and attributing it to something else. And it kind of plays into that mass distraction. Again, following into that, I'm looking this way because this is what I'm taught and this is how it's supposed to be. It just kind of trips me out. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And what we find also, Kim, is that it's the programming or the mass distraction that happens. It's like at every turn, the programming is going to tell you that you're separate, different, better, right? That's what it turns into. Kind of, I don't know, it's almost like we're cave people, cavemen, cave women in some kind of way where we feel like we have to guard our territory, ours, mine, me, that kind of separatist where if we don't, if we don't protect ourselves, then the outsider will take our stuff. So we get very territorial rather than like being hospitable and saying, oh, yes, So from every system you can look at, from politics, relationships, religion, at every turn, you're going to meet a program that tells you you're different, you're better, you're not the same. And most of them, I love that shit that says coexist, that has like a little symbol of all the religious walks all together, because that really, when it comes down to it, if love is what you're preaching or living, then you are as much in common with the person who does not speak the language that you speak, that does not live in the country or community that you live in, that does not espouse the beliefs supposedly that you believe in. But at the bottom line, if they're believing in love, then you are the same, We think men and women are so different. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I read that book. It's got some great insights on behaviors, but we're not from different places. We're parts of the same thing. And if you're a person who believes in reincarnation, then you would say, well, maybe you were a man in a previous life and maybe you were a woman in a future life. It's all a distractive filter. We're all meat and bones and blood and water and flesh, you know what I'm saying, that is just expressing itself in unique ways.
Right. And I wanted to say something about, when we talk about things like weapons of mass destruction or distraction.
Both.
Let me rewind. So what I'm getting at is there's different beings, there's different powers, whatever you want to call it, that have an intention to create fear, and that fear creates protection, and that protection creates separation. And so that's the distraction, right? So once you become aware of that, there's different, like I've experienced different levels of awakening. I've experienced different levels of experience that just show me more and more how to be more grateful. And gratitude is such, man, it is a key aspect to ascending, to elevating your vibration, to moving out of being in a fearful state. So if there's apparent energies that are desiring to keep you in a distracted place, in an isolated place, having gratitude for these beings to show us how to grow. It changes the whole thing, because my grandmother told me that your greatest angels are your greatest enemies, because it's like Mr. Miyagi, paint the fence, right? And Karate Kid. Karate Kid is like, what the hell, you got me painting fences and waxing cars and all this stuff, like, but he's going through the experience, and then all of a sudden he's a karate master, right? So you got these powers that be that are creating fear and isolation and separation. So by actually recognizing what's really going on, that you are the center of the universe, and all these different things are there to help us to evolve. Once you find that place of gratitude for those challenges, for those, those things that we might call darkness or negativity or fear or whatever, if you can find that gratitude for those lessons, we'll call those lessons Mr. Miyagi, and we'll call these powers that be Mr. Miyagi. Once you find that gratitude within yourself for these lessons, that darkness no longer exists, because you share the light of truth on what is actually going on in your situation.
That is a great example. I mean, I think you're a little too young to know anything about the original Karate Kid, but it was definitely right on time. Because you're what you said, 80s baby or something like that. I think I was in high school, junior high, when the first movie came out. But as soon as you started giving that, and I remember Daniel San sweating and wanting to cuss Mr. Miyagi, right? His muscles were hurting. He was sore. And I'm not talking about Jaden. I'm talking about Ralph, okay, for all my older folks. And he's really upsetting him. So as you're talking, I'm like, wow, that's how we get mad at life, right? Because life has told us, wax on, Daniel San, wax off. We know it's dark. We know you want to go hang out with your friends. We know all these things, but you need to just do this. Just be obedient, do it, and then don't ask questions. Yeah, like you said, he was then at the end, he realized, oh my gosh, what I was doing created a response and a system that then benefited me and put me in a new place. And it happened in the blink of an eye when he started doing his little jiu-jitsu thing with him or whatever. He immediately was
crane kick, woman, it was a crane kick.
It is a crane kick.
He got it, right? And he understood it. That was so perfect. See, I'm going to carry that anecdote with me now going forward, and it's going to create a whole new meaning for me. So thank you for that.
I love it.
Really, when you talked last week about how the fact when you get beyond the fact of feeling, like there is no time, there is no hour, there is no minute, because we are infinite and indestructible. And although this chapter may close, the essence of we continues on until infinity and beyond, Yes. So that takes the fear out of it to say, well, I am going to survive. I may not be what I was. Certainly there's no guarantee of that, but I'm going to survive. I'm not going to be defeated ultimately. I'm going to be moving on to some other kind of reality after all this is over. So it gives you kind of like the long view, which helps release some of that fear. Like a lot of people deal in like daily fear. What if I get fired? Oh my gosh, my life. And they go to work stressed every day, doing their job in fear, like, oh, my job is in jeopardy. Of course, we can all relate to that, having been in this recession now. But then you realize, what? I'm not my job. Yes, I need to support my family and stuff like that, but I am not going to be destroyed by that. So let me look at it objectively, remove the fear, and say, okay, what do I need to do to get new support for myself and my family? And I'll be more effective if I can learn to lose the fear, so to speak. And that long view you were talking about, and realizing that this is only a test. This is just a test, and it's preparing you to be the next best, greater version of yourself when you get through it. I think it was Ralph Smart, who I love listening to. If you get a chance to look him up on YouTube, on Facebook, Infinite Waters. He talks about fear is false evidence appearing real, right? So it's kind of like the boogeyman in your closet, the false evidence. So, knowing then to say, I'm not going to respond when the closet door opens. I'm going to be all right. I'm going to observe what's coming out, and then I'm going to strategize and make a plan to do whatever I need to do. That's been very helpful for me. And that's not to say that fear isn't something you still feel, but I also look at differently at what I ingest. I don't go out looking for the weapon of mass distraction and fear. Like there's certain websites that I don't go to because then I'm like, oh, my gosh, the world is going to end and we're about to go to FEMA camps. Okay, so but I don't go there to feed myself fear anymore. And if I do, I look at it without the emotional response. So, it's all like there's so many things on a daily basis that you do and that you can take control of in just your perspective. Looking at life, reframing, as they like to say in therapy. Well, I think we're all as a society doing a huge amount of reframing right now, and we're forced to see things that we either have to accept or reject. And I think there's a lot of work being done collectively by us, is what we're saying,
Absolutely. And I definitely, I'm going to say it again, I want to extend out to our audience. If there's something that, you feel like you're blocked, you feel like you've been scared about a certain situation, you feel like you've been stagnant, maybe in the same place, the same reoccurring cycle, you have the power to change that. And I want to extend that, just the possibility that could be real, that you could change those cycles, that you don't have to live in that same painful experience over and over and over, no matter what the dramatic action or the dramatic circumstances looks like. No matter how dramatic it looks, there's always a way to shift it, and we can do it. So if anybody's out there that wants to do that, we can assist you. Give us a call, and we can give you a small and simple tool, just on an individual basis to do it, and I feel like the three of us can all come together and find some kind of way for this to happen. I know this to be true. I feel it in my heart. So if you're out there, you have something of this kind of situation, give us a call, and we can see what we can do. Because when one of us is healed, we're all healed, and I know that for a fact. So,
and certainly, going forward, if you have anything, we do have a Facebook group, Are We Yet Asleep? You can contact us if you want to reach out to Jesse. His email is ReikiJourney11, right, at Gmail.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And definitely on our show, because it doesn't have to be limited to tonight. We're getting ready to wrap things up, but we're planning to be here for the long term. We're going to be here every Thursday sitting at the table. So it might be that we get your problem or your question, your query, and then we're going to crowdsource it, as they like to say, next week, because it's not just us. We have listeners, and everyone has something healing to contribute. So we'll all figure it out as a community, certainly, So, send in your requests, send in your issues, your troubles, your challenges, or even share your joys. We don't want to just limit it to problem solving. We want to hear about if you healed some clouds today, okay? We want to hear about if you saw something unusual or experienced a moment of connection with someone that you were not anticipating. For the caller that called in earlier, we want to hear from you next week, and we want to know if anything happened for you differently, and anyone else who happens to be in our listening range this evening. Because, we're all changing from moment to moment, which is so awesome.
Yes, truly is. And I just want to say I'm grateful for everyone. Okay, Miss, I love you. Kim, I love you. I am just grateful for this opportunity. For everybody that's on listening right now, I want to just surround you in the most beautiful and abundant peace and light, that you walk through the rest of this week in just a state of complete bliss, with no worry, with no fear, no doubt, and just complete knowing that everything is perfect and everything is unfolding just as it needs to. So let's walk in that faith. Let's walk in that knowing that we are unlimited and infinite beings, eternal beings that can create whatever we desire. So let's move out of the fear and let's move into abundance. And so it is.
You know, Deepak Chopra calls it, he says we have pure potentiality. We are pure potential. We are anything and everything, all of it. There's nothing that we cannot be and are not. You know, pure at its most elemental form. If we're energetic beings, right? Energy can do everything. It can start fires. It can put fires out. It can create planets and universes, you know. So you've got to just realize that we are creators. We're constantly doing it, whether we're being intentional or not, you know. And we definitely are here because we want to expand our potential, you know. And so we all enlarge when one of us enlarges. The body collective, if you will, is made of billions of cells. So the billions of people on the planet that we know of anyway, and the ones that we don't, you know, we're expanding, you know, and it's great. We're many universes. There's a billion of them in our bodies, and we're as above, so below, as we like to say. We are universes in and of ourselves.
Well said. Well said.
Yep.
So I'm guessing we have about 2 more minutes left in the show. Is that correct, Ms. J?
Oh, yes.
All right.
It's gone so fast, and the hour always goes so fast.
1.5 minutes, I'm saying. So Kim, you've been a little bit more quiet. Do you have anything you want to close the show up with? Because I would love to hear from, you know, anything that you want to share with the rest of this.
Oh, I was just listening to you guys and, you know, smiling and trying to feel all uplifted and happy and not be the usual, you know, Debbie Downers. You know,
well,
I'm letting the positive vibes rub off on me. I'm feeling shiny and happy, so hopefully everybody else out there is too.
Well,
you are not Debbie Downer, okay? That's what labeling that good, that bad. You know, we're taught and trained to view everything like black and white, and it's really not. Because for every down day you have, I have a down day, and everybody else, you know.
Oh, honey, I just tease. You know me. I just, you know, it is what it is. I just like to tease and keep it moving. You know, it's been really, I'm enjoying this. I think that this is going to work out, you know, kind of well. And it's going to get deeper. It's going to get more wild. It's going to get more crazy as we get into other shows. So, you know, I hope people are ready.
Yeah, we're rolling. Whether it's on the show or not, it's going down in this world just like that anyway. So just
absolutely
pull your socks off and put your big girl and big boy panties on.
Okay.
And make sure you don't have no skid marks in them.
Oh, my Lord, that's right. Make sure you got the clean ones, right? We are wrapping it up tonight. This has been Are We Yet Asleep? And we're obviously still awake. It's late night, and we are so glad you joined us for the last hour. We're on WTLC Blog Talk Radio. Join us on Facebook in our group, and we look forward to seeing you next week where we're going to continue the conversation. Be blessed.
Yes. One
Be
love.
well.
One love. Peace.